Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a one pot wonder. Now this is one of my favorite recipes. It's French, so you know it's sexy and delicious. This is a saucisse aux lentilles. Now this recipe starts off with the pork sausages. Now I got these from Waitrose. These are pork and wild garlic sausages, so really nice flavor. You want the big daddies. You want the chunky ones, you know, the girthy ones. God, what are we like? And yeah, we want to prick them because the casing inside, if you don't prick them, the air can't escape. And if the air can't escape, it's going to explode.
This is about to go off.
That is why a sausage is called a banger. Little fun fact for you. And we're just going to prick them just to get rid of the air. So, hot pan, little bit of veg oil. And we're just going to add in our sausages so we can get a really nice golden brown color. Little kiss of salt. And now we can move on to our veg. So we are now going to chop up our mirepoix. Now a mirepoix is a fancy French word for like your base veg, which is onion, celery, leeks, carrot, and a bit of garlic. And we just need to finely dice them. And that is going to form the foundation of our sauce. Oh, they already smell amazing. So our sausages are nicely caramelized. We're just going to give them a flip, just so we get some lovely color on both sides. And then we can continue chopping our carrots. Now, I'm a bit fussy when it comes to the way I chop my carrots. I think it looks really nice when you spend the time chopping them in the proper way. So how we do that is we take our carrot and we're going to trim either side of the carrot to form a square. So I'm just cutting off the edges like this to form a square. You see that? Okay, so once I've got my square, I can cut it into rectangles. And then once they're in rectangles, I can cut them into batons. And once they're in batons, I can cut them into a brunoise, which again is another fancy French way of cutting them into cubes. And I just think it does make a difference in the final dish. And it just shows you that you've got that chefy technique to get the perfect veg. And the French do know how to cook. That they can do. Okay, so veg is chopped. We're just waiting for the sausages to be golden brown all over, because this is the opportunity to get as much color and flavor in as possible. So be patient. We're looking for that color all around. Saucisse aux lentilles. I did a job in France and obviously had to like speak to a lot of French people to order the food. And I would be really confident. I'd be like, bonjour, bonjour. I said, ça va bien, non? Oh la la. And then we'd get through the small talk, which is basically the limit of my French vocabulary. And then I'd have to be like, oh, basically, this is what I want. And then they'd be like, they were actually really friendly. Sausages are really nice and golden brown. We're just gonna take them out of the tray because we don't need them for a minute. But look in there, all that sausage fat is gonna get recycled into the vegetables. So veg goes in here. And we're gonna cook that low and slow, I reckon, for a good 5-10 minutes, just so we can really soften the veg. This is the kind of recipe you cook when you've had a long day at work, you've got a glass of wine, you know, you're unwinding, you're maybe listening to a podcast, or you've got friends on in the background, because I want to make cooking fun, accessible, enjoy it. You know, it's a skill we need to know how to do. In fact, here's a question. Mikey does all my content. You've seen Harry, Paddy, and Twain cook. Where would you rank yourself compared to them?
Number one.
You think you're number one?
Number one.
Comment down below if you want to see Mikey in a video. If you want to see him in front of the camera instead of behind it. Okay. Garlic goes in. Okay. Oh! Gonna cook that for about 30 seconds while I move on to the liquid. So we've got some white wine and we've got some chicken stock. You want to buy this brand, True Foods chicken stock. It's the best in the biz. So the white wine's going to give us a really nice freshness, acidity and flavor, and that is like that's our vehicle. Our good friend Deepak at the Ritz was talking about vehicles, talking about stocks, and that's going to really help us along. So touch of wine goes in. And then just enough stock to cover it. Bring it up to the boil. The pan is up to the boil now. We're just going to add our sausages back in. And we'll reduce it to a simmer and then just cook that for about 10 minutes. So, little mistake, disclaimer, is that we forgot to add the lentils in, which isn't really a big problem because the lentils are already cooked. But it is a problem because it makes me look like an idiot. Lentils go in. They're already cooked. The great thing about lentils is that they're 75p. Extremely cheap, and they're a really nice texture. They're full of protein, and they're underused, quite frankly, in my opinion. So this has actually become quite a cheap dish because they're all simple ingredients. So we're going to add those in, and we're going to keep cooking, and we're going to forget about the mistake I made. And now we can move on to our slaw. So our slaw is going to be some fennel, some green apple. Obviously fennel, apple, pork are best friends. They love being together. We've got some dill and some mint. Moving on, salt into the salsa or the slaw. And that salt is going to help break down the vegetables so we don't get as much of that raw flavor. We're then going to add in some creme fraiche to the slaw. And then we're going to add in some mayo. Really rich and full of flavor, and that's just going to bring it all together. A little bit of lemon. That is sublime. Sublime! This slaw is actually in my cookbook, should any of you want to buy it. Now for the final bit, it is the salsa verde. Now we've made salsa verdes on this channel before. We did it with tacos, but this is the classic French version, and it basically consists of a shit ton of herbs. So we've got some flat leaf parsley, some basil, some mint and some dill. We're then gonna add in some cornichons, some capers, a little bit of Dijon mustard, red wine vinegar, squeeze of lemon juice, and then just enough olive oil just to bring it all together. Season it with salt and pepper, and that's gonna be the perfect kind of acidic tartness to cut through the richness of the pork and the stew. Okay, let's plate up. Here we go. Such a simple dish. Because it's quite different and it's French, you put that on the dinner table, people are gonna love it and they're gonna ask you how you made it, and you can be like, ooh la la. Beautiful fennel and apple slaw. Put it all together, it's a winner. Simple as that. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next week for another video, and let me know down below what you want to see next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. The French get a bad reputation for being grumpy, and oh my god, that one's exploded.